Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tori. Thank you for joining me. If you're returning, thank you for coming back. This week I'll be planning in my Hobonichi Cousin for the week of the 19th or Juneteenth if you're in the United States through June the 25th. I'm going to be using the Stars Rainbow kit for this week. And this is me doing writing tests right here because I realized the only thing that will work, I think, on this removable matte vinyl will be a ballpoint. So I have this one. If you know, you know. If you don't, why don't you know? But yeah, so. Okay, so I am switching over to voiceover because this was a recording on the Sunday night the week before. I had family in my house. I was also like just really kind of awkward about filming with family in my house. It felt very strange. And then also I was dealing with a major thunderstorm as well in the background, so I just figured it would probably be best if I just switched over to a voice recording. And I haven't done one of these in a while, so I hope you'll forgive me if I have a little hiccup. But I was just laying down the date covers here, and it was taking all of my patience. And so while I do that, I wanted to kind of follow up on my thoughts about Catcher in the Rye. So I finished that Monday night. Yeah, I finished that Monday night, and I feel like I was billed a different book. And by that I mean, I feel like everybody talked about this book, and that's not the book I read, if that makes sense. So if you also have never read Catcher in the Rye, essentially it follows Holden Caulfield as he is being kicked out of his like 4th boarding school or something, and it's published in 1945. So you have some mentions of like World War I veterans, and it's in New York. Like he travels from Pennsylvania to New York by himself. He's like a teenager, and he's just like bopping around New York. And I really don't see how people, because I was always told like, oh, that Holden Caulfield is like your quintessential like angsty teen, and he's so annoying. Y'all, he's having a mental breakdown the whole book. Like, he's not angsty, in my opinion. I don't know if like I'm just too far removed from my teenage years, but the guy was going through like a major depressive episode, in my opinion. Like, he's sitting there talking to his dead brother out loud at one point. Like, there's no way, I don't know. And I feel like because it was written in 1945 and published then, that felt angsty. Oh, teenagers just having, hormonal difficulties and thinking their feelings are the only ones that are, bringing the world down around them. But I'm like, now that we're in this more informed age, it definitely felt more like a product of its time, in the sense that like even Goodreads and like some summaries from Amazon, they're like, oh well, it's a quintessential like teenage rebellion and angst story, and I'm like, no, it's not. He's literally depressed out of his mind, and he's going around and putting himself in really precarious situations just to like feel something. Like, he has some mental health issues happening, but in 1945, that was just like, oh, he's just being a little hormonal teenager. I don't know. This may be a hot take. I'm not sure, but I have my opinion, and I feel as though what I read was dude was like struggling to literally figure out a purpose for his life. Like, he legitimately, the title comes from when he's talking to his little sister and she asks him, you can't even name one thing that you like. And I'm like, tell me you have depression without telling me you have depression? Come on. And then maybe I just over-identified. Did I over-identify? Did I under-identify? I don't know, y'all. Like, I did not relate to Holden in any way because he is a very privileged white kid. And he's like getting kicked out of boarding school just because he's not doing his work. Like, he's literally just bored. And he has enough affluence to like catch a cab from Pennsylvania to New York City, and he goes throughout the city in multiple cabs throughout the night. So like, he's well to do, and nobody blinked twice at this teenager just bopping around town because it's 1945 in New York. But I don't know, y'all. I just felt like really disappointed in the way that our society set this book up in my brain. Because I always thought it was just this selfish teenager going around doing whatever he wanted. To some degree, I do think that is what he's doing. But I think there are some deeper emotions at play. And it's obvious that it's at play when the book literally ends with him in a psychiatric ward. So, because he talks about, oh, well, this psychoanalyst has been asking me questions and I get out of here soon. Like, I don't know. I felt really discouraged as somebody who struggles with mental health, that this was something, I don't know. Why didn't anybody, I don't know. I'm just like, why didn't anybody tell me? And it's not anybody else's responsibility to tell me, but I wouldn't have led with this description of this guy just being an annoying teenager, because I don't agree with that. So now, did I overall like the book? I'm not sure. I don't think I didn't. I think I just had to sit with it and ruminate on it for a minute. And I am trying to pull out my reading journal where I took some notes. I should have been better prepared, but I just wanted to dive right in and really get to the meat of this. But he does make some statements that are very stereotypically teenage-esque. Like, people never believe you. People are always ruining things for you. People never notice anything. And those do feel kind of like really, I mean, they don't just feel like it. They are very large generalizations of society. But yeah, I don't know. He talks about how, I'm sorry, I digress because I have so many feelings about this book. But so what I was saying earlier about he was asking, or his little sister says he can't name anything he likes. And then she challenges him to name something he would want to do in his life. And that's where the title comes from, of that he gets a line in a poem incorrect because he heard a kid on the street quoting it incorrectly. But he says he would want to be a catcher in the rye. And what he thinks a catcher in the rye is essentially this protector of children. He says, I keep picturing all these little kids playing some game in this big field of rye and all. Thousands of little kids. And nobody's around. Nobody big, I mean, except me. And I'm standing on the edge of some crazy cliff. What I have to do, I have to catch everybody if they start to go over the cliff. I mean, if they're running and they don't look where they're going, I have to come out from somewhere and catch them. So that's all I'd do all day. I'd just be the catcher in the rye and all. I know it's crazy, but that's the only thing I'd really like to be. And for me, I'm like, okay, it's set in 1945. What's really being said here? Because there are layers, right? I have not looked up any kind of critical literary analysis of this book or anything like that. This is just me fresh off the boat from reading it. And that passage being the crux of the title, like, it feels a lot like essentially that Salinger is saying, like, I don't know, I felt like Holden, so if Holden is speaking, or if Salinger is speaking through Holden, in that situation, I feel like he's talking about World War I veterans and that they were all just kids and they went to play a game. So they would be the little kids playing some game in this big field of rye. And like, I felt like Salinger was saying like he wished that he could have saved those who were lost in World War One. But then you could also read it as like Holden wished he could save his brother who passed away from leukemia, or that Holden wishes he could save himself. I don't know. I was always told that this was a bad character, and granted, he's not likable, but he's going through a lot of things that on the outside would make you seem very unlikable. So yeah, that's my take. I don't really have a formed opinion. I'm still sitting with the fact that what I was told this book was about is not what it's about. So back to the actual plan with me now that I've done ranted about that book. So this, I don't know if I said it earlier, but it is Stars Rainbow. It's a Hobonichi Cousin kit from Shine Sticker Studio. I think it is amazingly adorable. And it is their matte vinyl, or removable matte vinyl sticker. And it's like a double-edged sword for me on this one because I love how it's removable and I can pull it right off the Hobonichi paper, no problem. But being that it's vinyl, you have to work with it. You can't use the normal pens, like gel pens are not going to be really your move here. You want to use a ballpoint pen, I think, something along that something along that line. I think I pointed out like my writing test just to see if any gel pens would work, but pretty much none did. So I just put the date covers up and I put that rainbow over by the weekend, and I thought Star was really cute, so I put her jiggling her butt, or at least that's what it looks like to me. She's kind of dancing in the right corner because usually I'm not doing anything that I feel like I need to memory keep about on Sunday night, because I've mentioned this before, but generally speaking, I lay out a very basic plan for my weekly plan with me's, but I'm a very big memory keeper, so I do go back in and log everything that happened. Like, because for me, it's like when I plan ahead, something in the little gremlin room in the back of my brain immediately rebels. Like, before the ink even dries, it's like, we're not doing that. Just because you put that there, we're not doing it. So I literally only plan things out that I absolutely have to do and are scheduled throughout my day. So normally I'm putting library programs in that I've scheduled and sent out to the public, so I legitimately cannot make that not be a thing. And I don't know what it is. Like, my brain just really craves spontaneity, I feel like. Because even when I have a scheduled library program, and I'm waiting for the people to show up, I'm like, my brain is still like, ew, I don't want to do this. Even though I love doing the library programs, it's just like the anticipation, I think, for me is where I struggle. Like, I don't like waiting for people to come into a library program because you're always just like, how many people are going to show up? Are they going to like it? And you second guess a lot of things, or at least I do in my experience. So I just put down all of these stickers that were kind of the same size for work, and I recognize that they do not match the days of the week. I kind of saw that, and I was like, you know what? These are the ones I want to use for my work stickers, so I just decided not to let it bother me. So I laid those down and I go about filling in my week. And so this week, I actually ended up having a sick day on Monday. I woke up after the storm that happened the night I was filming this, and it was like a huge sinus situation overtook my brain, and I felt like my head was going to explode any minute. So I just took some Sudafed and some Advil and really tried to just sleep it off. And it took a while, but it finally went away. And so I wasn't able to actually work through my Monday plans, and that really sucked. I just, every time I feel like I have to cancel a library program, I feel like I let people down. And I know in the grand scheme of things, if I was on the other side and I was just a library patron and I saw that a program got canceled, I'd be like, oh, dang it, I wanted to go to that. But then, like, I'd very quickly move on to the next thing in my life, right? So I know that it's not a big deal to most people, but I do also work with people who have children with autism. So I feel like I'm even more, I guess, cognizant of when I make last minute changes, because that really affects a lot of people who are neurodiverse. Granted, these programs were not targeted towards neurodiverse patrons, but I try to make sure that I'm really like not canceling stuff last minute. But I had to for Monday because of just my brain and my head. I could not have made it through that day successfully. So I just went ahead and made the call to stay home. And none of this is me like really justifying any of my actions. Like, it's done, it's over. I just hate when I'm not able to really make a program happen that I had scheduled, that put out there. Like, people plan to come. So it's not the best feeling in the world, is what I'll say. So this is just me checking back in my monthly, making sure that I have all my programs written out for the week and that I'm not missing anything, because I always miss something, and it's either like something little like a payday or a doctor's appointment or something like that. And I think I even caught, no, it was already in the calendar. I was trying to say that I even caught that I had a doctor's appointment and it wasn't on the monthly. No, it's right there. It even has a sticker and an exclamation point. And I'm like, but the tab is covering up somebody's personal information. So I just make sure that that's not like out there in the public, because that's not my info to give away. But it was a contact for a program that I needed to go to on Friday. And I figured what we would do at this program. So I'm going to read like a little bit from George's Marvelous Medicine. And it's a Roald Dahl book. If you've never heard his name actually pronounced out loud, Roald Dahl is the author of Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, things like that. He also wrote George's Marvelous Medicine. It's a smaller chapter book, and it's basically about this little boy named George who decides his grandmother needs some different medicine, and he starts putting everything, literally but the kitchen sink, in her medicine. And it's like, I feel like Roald Dahl's themes throughout his novels and his books for kids is very much about the dynamics between adults and children, and how children a lot of times don't feel seen by adults, and adults are kind of dismissive of a child's experience. And so the crux of the book is that George makes this medicine for his grandmother, and then she grows big, she grows small, she like goes through all these transformations, and instead of really being upset, George's dad comes home and wants him to replicate it, because he's like, we could sell this. So it's a goofy little book, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because it is pretty long, and it would take me probably over an hour to read out loud. But I will read the part where he starts making the medicine, and what we'll be doing is I put glow-in-the-dark slime, but I think I'm just going to do some regular safe slime. I know a lot of people put borax in their slime, but I'm hesitant to do that because when I was growing up, I was taught that borax is literally the only thing that will kill a cockroach, and I have grown up and seen that be the case, so it feels weird to me to put that in slime when I'm working with little kids. So I'm just going to do some cornstarch and dish soap with some uh, food coloring. And we're going to actually, I had a donation of a bunch of old pill bottles, and we're going to put the slime in the pill bottles like it's medicine. And I just thought it was a genius idea. I came up with it in like 2.5 seconds. I think the kids will love it. Um, and I'll even let them, I'll be like, oh, you can go give this to your grandma, just to play and have a little fun with it. So that is what I'll be doing on Friday. And I'm really excited, as you can tell, because I'm telling you all about the logistics of it. So we're doing some programs on Wednesday that are pretty exciting. We're going to make our own rain sticks and add in so I got some cardboard tubes, and we are going to put some beans and rice and different things in the tubes to kind of make the sound simulate like rain. We're going to read a book about rain sticks and how or where they originated and what they were originally used for. So I think that will be pretty fun. And then later on in the day, we'll also be doing a teen program of just kind of like free sculpture. I think the best thing that these programs are doing for kids this summer, it's very different from my previous summer programs. I've never done any kind of craft heavy summer programs before, but I chose to do it this year because, like I've said in previous videos, the theme for this year is kindness, teamwork, and friendship. So we decided to team up, so showing that teamwork and friendship with the local arts council in our town, and they're providing some of our supplies. We're also providing supplies, but it's really just like another set of hands, another person in the room to help guide us. But so I'm trying to say that I think these programs are doing something different that, summers before, it's really just kind of been like relax, chill, come watch a presentation at the library as part of the summer programs. But these programs are requiring a lot more participation and a lot more flexing of their creativity muscles. And I'm finding that a lot of kids are really uncomfortable with that. And I think, granted, I'm not in a classroom, but I do think that teaching to the test and the way our standardized testing has overrun our schools has really gotten to the point where our kids and the students in our communities are afraid to deviate. They want to be told what exactly to do and how exactly to do it so that they don't get it wrong. And when I walk up to them and I'm like, hey, here's a piece of paper, here's some markers, draw what you want, they just kind of look at me like a deer in the headlights, because they're like, what do you mean, what do I want? Because they're really not given any agency in schools anymore. And I understand that that's definitely not on the teachers. It has way more to do with our government and how funding is based on test scores, and it really just doesn't serve anybody well. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. If you're any kind of educator or any kind of person involved in children's activities, like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, the kids just kind of were like, they almost get kind of frustrated. I've had some kids cry in these programs this summer because they're just like, I don't know what to do. And while I never want a kid to cry at a library program, I also don't want them to feel like that they can't do something without explicit direction. I think that's the whole point of creativity and why we create these programs that are very open-ended. Is like, use what you want to do. Make sure that you are not losing yourself to the school-wide industrial program that is our tragic system in the United States. But so yeah, it's just been really eye-opening, and definitely had to work in some emotional intelligence skill building throughout this process. But that's all right. It's been a joy. And so now I'm just writing in some of the things I want to get done each day. And I don't normally do this under my work, but I just felt like I really needed to kind of prioritize some things. And so I put down some stuff that I definitely wanted to take care of, and I put it in my weekly so that I could see it twice throughout the day, because usually I reference the weekly at least once a day and then my dailies every day, obviously. So I put those in, and I think I'm going to put one on Thursday as well to tackle some stuff for that. And I am using my Jinhao fountain pen, and I think it's got a medium nib. It didn't really say, but it is inked with Diamine Imperial Purple. And I was actually going to transcribe some notes last night, and I realized I have literally run through all of my inked fountain pens, and I feel like I hadn't inked them up that long ago, so I don't know. I was kind of depressed. I was like, man, I'm going through this a lot faster than I thought I would, so I'm thinking a Goulet Pens purchase may be coming up. Like, I want to try out some of their samples. So this is me, again, trying to figure out what to put down, how I should put it down, where I should put it down. But I definitely think I go with another to-do list, if I remember correctly. So I have a lot of leftovers from this kit, but I don't particularly mind it because I love their matte removable vinyl from Shine Sticker Studio. There's nothing like a good high of being able to peel a sticker off the Hobonichi paper with no consequences to your actions. I say that, but then I think I did tear stuff at some point around here, but it's fine, it's fine. Nobody will know. Nobody would have known had I not said something. So, just laying down that to-do list, and there are a couple things. So I spend the next 2 days at 2 different library branches, and I just make sure that I put down the stuff I want to get done before Friday, because I needed to prepare for Friday's program as well, because I don't usually work on Fridays, so it's out of the norm, and I just wanted to remind myself that I needed to get the stuff together for the slime / medicine. So I'm writing all that down, and anything else that I feel like I would need to do at the branch that day before I go back to town to get that program done. And then after that, I have a doctor's appointment, so that should be fun. It's gonna be, I mean, the week's already kind of, I'm recording this voiceover in this week, and it already feels like it's going by pretty quickly. But yeah, so I just need to make sure that I got some shelving done, and I'm always trying to stay on top of emails, and I'm never on top of my emails. But I did get through my emails today, and I was up to date. I did all the things I needed to do that I'd been putting off. And then I just put that I needed to grab a book as well about diversity, or I'm sorry, not diversity, disability in manga. It's this book that that I had added to our library collection, and I need to read up on it for a presentation. And that's really it for this week. I threw a lot at y'all, so I appreciate you sticking around if you made it this far. And I hope you'll consider subscribing and liking this video if you enjoyed it. And I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.